Hi friends, welcome back to my YouTube video. So now we'll be talking about how to sew the blazer, how to sew the double-breasted blazer. In the first video we talked about how to cut it. Now we're starting another video on how to sew it. So now before you sew, you cut the lining. The lining has to be 3/4 to 1 inch shorter. You use a suit lining, of course. Then it has to be 3/4 to 1 inch shorter than the fabric, than the main fabric. Now for the back has a slit. I'm going to show you people how to sew the back slit, but the back has a slit, an overlapping slit, like I showed when we were cutting it. So now for the slit, you can see you cut one, as in one of the linings, one side of the lining, you cut it as in normally with the overlap. Then the second part of the lining, you cut it in by 1 inch. You cut it in by 1 inch. You can see what I'm trying to say. You cut it in by 1 inch. Okay, so that it can enter, so that the overlap can enter inside, so that it can enter inside. And this one, this one's okay, and this one stays out, and this one enters inside. So I'll show you as it goes on. For the front, we'll also be cutting a lining. Okay, so this is how the front looks like. The front lining. So there's a facing for the lapel area, and the front lining is also shorter, 3/4 to 1 inch shorter than the main fabric. So you cut after the lapel. After cutting the lapel, you now cut lining that will complete it. Now note, we use them. You have to interface. You have to stay the blazer with hairstay. The interface you use for this blazer, for jackets, the interface they use for jackets is hairstay. Now if you can double stay it, as in you can do double staying of the interface. That means you cut twice, the interface twice, and stay it double, or you can decide to do it single. It depends on the effect you want after you have sewn your jacket. So let's continue. Okay, so now we are ready to start sewing. I have darted, you can see that I have darted the back. I have darted it. I've also darted the front. This is the front facing with the lining. I also darted it. I've also darted the front. Now, when you're darting the front and the front lining, I usually dart the front lining in the middle, right? Then I cut it out. I dart the front lining, I dart it in the middle, then I cut off the excess. Then when you're darting the front, you have to take note of the fact that we left a 3.5 inch excess for the overlap. So when you're darting the front, you will put that into consideration before drawing your dart. You have to put an excess of 3.5 before marking your dart point. So now let us continue. Now we are going to start with the back. I'm joining the back by 1/2 inch. You also join the lining like so. Now when you're joining to the back, you stop 1/2 inch to the end. Don't take it to the end. We'll now join the lining the same way. Remember what we did to the lining of the back. The lining of the back, one side came out and one side went in. So let us join. For this one, you stop it half inch. You will not, of course, you will not take it to the overlap because there's no, the other one is going in. So you stop it half inch before the end of the straight line, like this. Then now we want to do the slit area. You have to watch closely this time. You leave 1 inch space towards the end because you're still going to shape it in, right? Then you sew. For this part, you stop like 2 inches towards the end. Then remember that we're starting with the part that goes in first, right? The other part is easier. This is the part that people usually have issues. So remember that the lining is shorter than the fabric. So you take the lining up to where it's supposed to be. Bring your fabric in and sew it this way. You'll take the lining up, bring your fabric in and sew. You can see. You can see what I want to do now. I can now sew. Stop half inch to the end. Don't sew all the lining. Stop half inch to the end. This way. Then sew to the edge. You can see that it's already formed. When you bring it in, it will form. Yeah. So this is what it always forms. It forms up like this. It forms a slanted line up this way, and the lining goes up. You can see this way. So now to close it up, I'm going to do a small. I'm going to sew up a small dart. I'm going to sew it up to close. Sew up these 2 points now to close it up. Like so. So it is now like this. By the time you iron it out, it smoothens up. Right? It's now formed. So now it has gone in, it's formed. So let's do the second side. The second side is easier, just because this is the side that looks like the fabric, looks like the shape of the fabric. Just keep your, don't forget to leave a 1 inch space for sewing allowance. Yes, so this one you will sew it right to the end. Take your lining up to where it's supposed to be, to the edge of the, as in to the fabric where it's supposed to be, right? Take your lining up, then sew. You can see that the lining has gone up. Then sew. Okay, so you turn it to the front. Is this way. So now, okay, so after you've finished your slits, and after you've done the first and the second slit the way I taught you, this is how it's now going to be, right? You can see. Then you come to the lining, and there's an excess. You put the lining in this way. Put whatever lining, whatever excess there is. I don't want to put it. I'm not going to put it now because I've not yet ironed the clothes. But put it in this way. Then top stitch. The top stitch, of course, the top stitch will show in front. So you have to arrange the front in such a way, the front and the back in such a way that after top stitching, it's okay in front. So now we are done with the back. Fortunekwe Fashion Academy will be holding a 2 weeks intensive jacket masterclass where you'll be taught all you need to know about the different types of jackets. Now, this will be holding from the 7th to the 18th of August 2023, and it is for intermediate and advanced designers. For more details and booking, see flyer. This is for only 10 slots. Thank you. Okay, so I want to sew the front now. So for the front, you just sew the fabric, as in the lining, across at the bottom. Remember to leave your 1 inch for inside sewing, inside shaping. So I'm now sewing this. Now, because I'm supposed to have ironed the clothes. I've not yet ironed. So remember to open, of course, after sewing all your lines, you open all of them. Open them with iron, with steam iron. Even the back too. I'll do that for the back too. I'll open every single line with steam iron. This line I'll open with steam iron. This I'll open with steam iron. And when I also shape the sides, I also open with steam iron and everything. So let's continue soon. Then after you sew it at the bottom, you take it up to the neckline. You take the lining up to the neckline. Remember, you sewed it at the bottom, you take it up to the neckline so that, of course, you know why you're doing that, so that it jumps up at the bottom and the lining doesn't show at all. So let us sew. So we'll do the same for the second part of the front. Then we'll now move to our shaping. Then we iron out everything. Okay, so you can see the slit. I've done the slits. I've top stitched it at this point. So this is how it looks at the back. Neat finishing and all. So now we want to join the shoulders. So this is how we do it. Fabric to fabric, lining to lining, like this. Remember, when you are sewing your, remember that I've not ironed. I'm going to do a whole lot of ironing. So when you are sewing, remember I said that we're going to open every single line. So when you are sewing the lining area, remember that the front had a facing that we joined to a lining to complete it. So you have to open it at this point too when you're sewing. So that when you iron, everything falls into place. So we've done the first part, let's do the second part. Fabric to fabric, lining to lining. Remember to open your line. Remember to open the line when you are sewing it. So now we're going to shape the sides. I've already done the shaping. Most times I like my shaping to be 1 inch. I use the white chalk so you may not be able to see, but I like my shaping to be 1 inch so that it's not bulky inside. So now I shaped the back, so I'll now use it to sew the front. Remember, fabric to fabric, lining to lining. So let's continue. You can see why we now left the 1 inch space at the bottom so that it's easier to shaping the clothes. And so the second side, I just notch it a little tiny bit. Notch it a bit at the bottom too. Basically, I just like to reduce all forms of bulkiness. So we're going to do the second side like that. Then it will now be time for us to iron and continue. Okay. Okay. So now we want to make the welt pockets for the blazer. So I have marked 9 inches from the shoulder. I've marked 9 inches from the shoulder, and I've also made sure that the welt pocket doesn't. I mean that the lapel doesn't fully cover the welt pocket. Yeah, it has to be very important. You make sure that wherever you mark, you have to make sure that the lapel is not covering the welt pocket. So let us continue. So 9 inches, then this way. So now I marked a 4.5 inch distance for the welt pocket, 4.5 inch width for the welt pocket, and now we want to start. I cut a 5.5 inch as a patch that is 5.5 inch by 7 inches. So if you are doing a 4.5 inch width, the pocket itself has to be 1 inch more. That's 5.5 inch. So now we want to start sewing. Now, what we are going to do is that we are going to sew across like this. Now it would have been easier if I had put the welt pocket before joining the sides, before shaping the sides. Now it will be a bit more stressful, but we're still going to do it anyway. So we want to sew it down. Okay, so we'll sew the first we'll sew. You can see how I positioned it, half inch away from the original width. So let the pocket be in the middle of the original width. So this is the first one. Also the second one, like so. So now the welt pockets. So welt pockets are, I'm doing a 1 inch, welt pocket that is 1 inch. That has a 1 inch hole, like a 1 inch space. So some welt pockets are actually bigger than 1 inch in space. So it depends on what you want. So half inch here, making 1 inch. Okay. So when you're sewing, okay. So we have sewn that. Now we want to cut into the hole. So you cut the middle like so. Okay, then you cut, continue cutting. When you get to this point, you take it, you cut it this way to the end of the sewing of the sewing on both sides, like so. You do the same for the second side. Remember, you're sewing on only the fabric. Oh, don't put the lining. Let the lining not be involved in this. Okay. Now that we've done this, we'll put both of them inside, like so. So we can see the hole that we've created. Now at this point, for the welt pocket we are doing, one is going there up totally, and the other one will cover. So now this one, let's start with the one that is going up. So this one that is going up totally will come to the back, right? And make sure it has gone up totally. Then top stitch on the sewing like this. Make sure, yeah, make sure it's then top stitch this way. Top stitch on, as in top, let your top stitch start from where you cut through. Let it not this way. You can see how I've top stitched it. Now the second one. So it's going to stay up like this way. Now the second one would have to cover the hole. Now the second one is the one that will now cover the hole like this. If you cannot, if you can't handle doing it without ironing, then you have to iron. I mean, I can handle it. So let it cover the hole like this. Then you come to the back again. It will be better to iron though, if you can. Come to the back, right? Now this is the amount I have taken. Come to the back and do the same top stitch. But at this point now, you can see that you have taken in some, as in the part that will cover the hole. So it's now the remaining that you are going to top stitch. Like this. Okay. Okay, so this is how it looks now. After we've done both sides, this is how it looks. So now I have brought, the first one we top stitched totally up. Now the second one we brought this one out to cover the hole. Now we want to bring both pockets together and cover it inside and sew it up inside. So this is how we're going to sew it up. You just take it inside, sew it up from the triangle. Don't sew it into the fabric, except unless the pocket will not balance. Sew it from on the triangle. And also sew through the triangle. Don't cut into the fabric, except or else it will not balance. Make sure you sew at the beginning of that triangle. Cut off whatever excess there is. And you're good to go. So this is how it looks. So just do a little bit of ironing and we're done. Watch out for part two, where we conclude on the jacket, where we do the collar and the sleeves. Thank you.